Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Carmine Sabia for Explain America, and Stormy Daniels just got exposed. No pun intended. Before we get started, please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Those little things really help us out, and they help our channel continue to grow. Now, Maggie Haberman appeared on CNN. If you guys have followed anything about Maggie Haberman, you know she is not a fan of former President Donald Trump. They have absolutely had their run-ins. They're not, particularly fond of each other. But she's been in and out of the courtroom here in the New York Alvin Bragg case, the hush money, the so-called hush money case against former President Donald Trump. And she said the latest witness, Stormy Daniels' former attorney, actually did a lot of damage to the prosecution and to Stormy Daniels. And what she said is, it sounds like there was an arrangement, basically, between Stormy Daniels and her attorney and Karen McDougal to shake down Trump, to make him the victim of extortion, to extort him for large sums of money in order to keep her silence for the presidential election. The same thing that the prosecution is prosecuting Trump for right now. And this is disastrous, if true, for her. I don't know if they would bring charges, but certainly if there was extortion going on, this is the same thing that basically Michael Avenatti is in prison for 20 years. If it's an extortion scheme, well, that's a major, major offense. If it's a blackmail scheme, that is a major offense. You can't do that to somebody. And this witness has made it really tough on Daniels and her former attorney. Now, Maggie Haberman explained it in great detail, and I want you to hear it. Then, of course, as always, let me know what you think. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'm Carmine Sabia for Explain America. We love you guys. God bless you. Take care, everybody.
And the New York Times has Maggie Haberman, who was in court today. Maggie, what was it like in court today?
It's surreal every day, but I would say that the strangest moment came toward the end of the day. And it was a rough day of testimony. Keith Davidson, the former lawyer for Stormy Daniels, testified for a long time. And Trump's lawyers actually did get some dings into him on cross-examination. It got very tense. He got very flustered. He ended up sounding pretty weaselly as he was giving answers. But prosecutors played these exchanges that Cohen secretly taped. One was with Keith Davidson, and then the other was Michael Cohen and Trump, which you just played. And that tape is basically what jurors were left with as the most dramatic testimony for the day. There was some other not particularly interesting testimony at the very end, as you say, from a custodian of records, basically saying that he had checked out Cohen's phone and that it was all forensically true, that this material came from it. But we still don't really know what the jury thinks, and I think that's really important to bear in mind. Because
you described the Cohen-Trump recording as a doozy.
Well, I mean, look, we've heard this tape for...
Which, again, is a legal term.
So, right. Thank you for clarifying for me. It's been 6 years, almost to the day, that we know about this tape, and so it's obviously not new to us, but I think when you are hearing it, A, as a juror, and B, in the context of that courtroom, it just sounded very different, particularly at a time when Trump's lawyers were arguing that this was essentially all just Keith Davidson and Michael Cohen. They didn't make this argument explicitly, but they were leaning into the idea that these two were just freelancing, and that Davidson was essentially extorting Trump. And so that didn't get dispelled from that tape, but the idea that Trump didn't know would have.
It's also the first time that the jury has heard from Trump.
That's right.
Because, I mean, we see him talk going into the court, coming out of the court, saying things that are true, as you just showed there, even though Todd Blanche's attorney shook his head yes when Trump...
But the idea that he's not allowed to testify is just...
It's not true. And Trump looked to him for affirmation, and he shook his head yes. But in the courtroom, Trump is very quiet. He whispers to his attorney, something that they were kind of annoyed about, it sounded like today when it's reported how often they're speaking. But you can't hear what he's saying. And for the most part, he has his eyes closed a lot.